foundation so that you can, get your core down and then develop everything beyond that. Keep practicing. It's better to practice for 10 minutes a day than an hour once a week. There's a version of you that you want to be, and there's also a version of you that you don't want to be, and it's about who you let win that battle, who you let the world see.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of the KDigitals podcast. Joining me today, I have James Blond USA. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, for sure. So like I was telling you before we started, right? I like to start off every podcast by asking the guests, can you define your style, your music, right? The whole point of the podcast is about your process, your origin, your style, all of that. So yeah, man, can you take it away?
Sure. The process has started since I was a kid. I always loved music. I never really took it seriously until I was a little older. And it's been fun just sort of learning how to do everything DIY style. I didn't have any instructors or take any lessons. I went on YouTube for certain certain portions of the musical development, to learn chord phrasing or to learn, different exercise techniques and whatnot. But a lot of it's just been sort of an internal drive, really trying to find a way to create something from nothing without really having too much knowledge about even what that something is. Yeah. It's just been a fun little process. And the fact that I have an album out now is phenomenal. Really cool to look back on that. And I'm excited to make more in the future.
Yeah. So how long, you said you started when you were younger, right? Like how long were you doing music, and then when did you decide, okay, I want to actually make a production, put together an album? Like what's that timeline look like?
Well, I played percussion in middle school in the band, and I was just playing, one or two drums, and didn't get to play the kit or anything. And I think I was probably, I want to say 24 or 25 when I picked up a guitar.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's because I remember I was 9 years old and my dad gave me a guitar on my 9th birthday. And I was taking instructions from this guy, Dave, or we called him Dojo Dave. And he was teaching me, to pick each string 100 times. And it was boring. It was so boring. I couldn't do it. So I put the guitar down for 15 years. Yeah. And then, I picked it up, because my neighbor was actually moving and he needed somewhere to put the guitar safe. And he said, hey, you can hold this if you learn something on it. And I said, all right, cool. So I learned a few chords. And from there, it just sort of took off. And, I'd always wanted to play the drums. My dad was a professional drummer for most of his adult life. And he passed away on March 21st, 2008. So that's just a few days away, actually, the anniversary. And on the 10-year anniversary, I drove across the country to Connecticut to go pick up the last remaining drum set in existence that he owned. Three of his buddies actually fought my aunt in court to retain the drum set.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, they had to fight her for 6 or 7 years and claim the drum set as studio property, so that she couldn't claim it was part of his estate, even though it technically was. If she was able to prove that he owned it, then she could sell it. And if they proved that it belonged to the studio, then it was just studio equipment and she had no right to it. So they won, and they held on to it for 10 years. And my dad's friend Craig called me, and he said, he's like, yeah, I got the drum set in the attic. Can't wait to teach my son how to play on it. And his son was maybe 3 at the time. And I just went, no, that's not how it's supposed to go. That's mine. That's my drum set. So I drove out there, and it was really, really cool. Yeah, I took it home and started playing it long enough where the neighbors signed a petition after about 1.5 years to get me to stop playing, which was great, I think.
Oh, shit.
Because it forced me to get out of the house and just find somewhere else to play. I took my drum set down to Sunset Cliffs and in Ocean Beach, and I went through 3 pairs of sticks in one day. And it was a liberation. I don't know. It was so nice to be able to really kind of go full throttle on the drums, because before, when I'm playing inside, I would always have that internal, all right, let's tone it down for the neighbors, let's try to be sensible. But then when I was able to go nuts, that just opened up a new light, and it's been uphill ever since, or downhill. I don't know what the terminology is. I enjoyed the process.
Uphill. I don't know, actually. I feel like it's downhill. I know what you mean, but I actually am not sure
Yeah.
the right one. But that I get it.
It is what it is. No worries.
Yeah.
I like the drums. I like music. So yeah, eventually it just it became putting those pieces together. I learned how to play the drums, and I learned how to play the guitar, and I was like, all right, well, I already have these down. Maybe I should learn how to play the bass. And I got like with that stimulus check, I bought this bass.
Oh, you just got that? Okay, cool.
Oh no, I got it before the album came out. But
yeah.
So this was like the first stimulus check.
Okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, let's get a bass, and I did. I started learning how to play, learned some Gorillaz songs, and yeah, then I kind of took that to the album, and then I made all of the vocal productions at home. I had the songs written out, some of them longer than others, and just had an idea of how I wanted them to go. So I learned the process of, I took a course on Logic so I could learn how to understand how to process all the audio from every instrument and develop that in the studio, and then took that up to Los Angeles after about 2.5 years of work, and had my buddy Andrew Coulter, or Soul Catalyst, master the album, and I think it came out really well. And excited about everything. The whole process was amazing, because it was just, I had this idea that I wanted to create a piece of music that I could listen to, and now I have, and I can hold a CD in my hands. It's really neat to have a tangible item from just an idea. And I think that goes for all aspects of life. If you have an idea, you visualize it, you work on it. It might take some time, but you should be able to have that come into your life if that's what it's meant to be. That's what you want.
Yeah. So it all started with guitar then. So it was first guitar, and then the drums kind of came back in your life, and then
I think I may have ordered it wrong, because it was drums. It was It was 2018. I was 24 or 23, turning 24. I'm not really sure, but I drove across the country and back in 2 weeks. And that was, so the first thing I had was the drum set. And then I believe that the guitar came into my life around the same time. It was slightly after. And I definitely focused more on the drums, but just to be able to have both is really nice. I love them both, and it's hard to choose one. I mean, they're both they're never-ending processes, and they each have their own, great ability that they have within themselves. So you can shred on a guitar, you can shred on the drums, you can shred on a fucking xylophone. I mean, it's all about just what the moment calls for. I think the drums are heavily, I'd say, my predominant instrument, and if I wanted to play in a band, I would want to play the drums and sing. So it's cool just to have that backup knowledge. If I need to jump in, play guitar or play bass, and or I'd love to learn how to play keys, just to be able to kind of do everything. I'd love to play the saxophone. There's a lot of instruments. I mean, so luckily, there's still quite a bit of life to go.
Yeah. So that's a lot of work, right? To learn every single instrument, like to get good at it.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, even just to build the foundations, that's where you have to start, is to build the foundation so that you can, get your core down and then develop everything beyond that. So some people try to rush into it and immediately just want to go, but I mean, you can't do that if you don't learn what, shapes you're making, or you have to build that finger dexterity. And yeah, it takes work, it's the same as riding a bike, You don't forget it, but if you don't do it often, I mean, you might be a little wobbly when you jump back on. So you just have to keep practicing. It's better to practice for 10 minutes a day than an hour once a week, just to pick it up and give yourself a few minutes. And, if you just say to yourself, hey, let's do 5 minutes, then you might pick it up and do 5 minutes, but then 5 minutes go by and you're having fun and you don't realize it, but you're about to do 20 minutes. And you just do that every day. Try to find some kind of incorporation in your schedule for music if that's what you want, and then over time it just naturally gets better. And if you enjoy it, then it should be a fun process.
That's cool, man. So then why, because like you said, like that's a lot of work, so like why learn all that when you could just like find someone else and then you get to focus on drums and then you build the band around that? Like, why do it all yourself?
I think, I don't know. I didn't really want anybody telling me what to not necessarily what to do,
Mhm.
just to have everything that came out of it be original from, to say I made
Mm.
this, and it wasn't, I and this guy and this guy and this girl made this. It was just, hey, I made this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been pretty interesting,
Hmm.
I think I would rather do it myself than, you know what? I think everything worked out the way it was supposed to, and I would love to collaborate with more people in the future, but just be able to have that preliminary knowledge of what it takes
Hmm.
to play those instruments. Then you see people playing at that level. It
Yeah.
really just gives you more of
Like an appreciation.
an appreciation for the fact that it takes a
Yeah.
lot of work, like you said, to get to that level. So I
Yeah.
wanted to see if I could make an album on my own,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of parts that go to it, and
Yeah.
it was a really fun process. But now all the information that I have at my disposal from the process is available whenever. So I
That's
think I'm glad I
cool.
went through that on my own than, gave somebody else because if they had someone come in and play guitar or play bass, then I wouldn't, I'd watch them do it, but I wouldn't really know what they were doing. And I would,
Mhm.
log the audio and stuff, but I wouldn't really feel like it was my creation. I had my
Mm.
first lead ever on that album, just made it up. And it was really neat to kind of learn the intricacies of the higher frets on that. And I don't know.
Mhm.
It's cool, man. It's just neat to be able to look back on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel it. Like 'cause that seemed like I totally get it. Like if you're working with other people, like it's not people telling you what to do, but it's kind of like you're always kind of limited in what you can create,
Hmm.
right?
But
As
there
an
are
individual, right?
pros. Yes, there
Yeah.
are pros because you're able to bounce off of other musicians, and they might say, "Hey, I like this, but what if we did this?" And
Yeah.
that's something that you don't get when you work with yourself. So it's more or less coming back to it with fresh ears.
Mhm.
Like taking a day off and coming back and listening to the mix and saying, "I don't know if this sounds entirely right."
Yeah.
And then you tweak a few things here and there, and it just takes time.
Yeah.
And then even at the very end of it, you might feel like it's no good, but it's important to just get it out there and just have that behind you. Unless
Mhm.
you really feel that it needs work and you don't feel good about it within yourself. But there's a difference between feeling that it's not ready because you're an artist and you're vulnerable and nervous to put your work out there in front of the world, or the
Mhm.
fact that you straight up haven't put in the work and it's not done and it
And you know.
sounds like trash. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not good. So they're very different, because you could work on a mix forever. I think you could talk to any artist in the world and they could say, yeah, I could probably keep tweaking this for the rest of my life. But,
Mhm.
at some point in time, you have to put it out there or else it's no good just sitting on your hard drive.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's cool, man. That you done everything right, and that you know what goes into. And I think it's like a personal satisfaction. That's cool, just to like know how to
For
make
sure.
music. Yeah.
Yeah. Because at
Mhm.
first, it seems the idea is so simple. I'll make a hit song and I'll be a millionaire. And good luck. Good luck. I mean, there's a lot of one-hit wonders out there, but the goal is to be a one-hit wonder, or even to get famous, or to go into it with this materialistic vision. It's just, I just wanted to make music. My dad was a musician, and he played around the world. He got to do arena tours and played
Mhm.
for thousands and thousands of people, and made them happy just playing the drums. And I think that's really cool. And it's a different world, a different time, and I'd love to find my own way to step into that spotlight and be able to share that love for music with people, and to have created something of my own to be able to play is really cool. And it didn't exist a few years ago.
Mhm.
It's it was an idea, and now
Yeah.
it's been manifested.
Mhm. So on that note of ideas, then, obviously, like that's the music side of things, but like, what's the story behind like your album called Path of a Logical Liar? Like,
Yeah,
what's?
so it's Path of a Logical Liar,
Mhm.
which is great because you take out one syllable and it's Path a Logical Liar. And I think that, a lot of us are finding our way through this world right now, and we have to say the right things. And we might not be entirely truthful, but we know what to say to get through the day and to not piss people off and to play the PC card.
Yeah.
And it's just a very strange time that we live in. So we all walk this fine line, and
Mhm.
you know, I'm on the same path. So it's the path of a logical liar, because you have to say the right things to get by, even if you might be a little turned off by what's actually going on out there. You know, there's a lot of crazy things happening in the world for sure right now, and it's
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be here. So yeah, I'm also just a big fan of puns and play on words. And
Yeah.
yeah, the reason that the whole thing is sort of a mimic to British pop artists. I mean, I sing a lot of the songs with a British accent, which is ridiculous. You know,
Mhm.
I talk like this. It's just downright blasphemous, and it's one of those things that
Yeah.
I did it because when you go and watch an Adele interview, or you go and watch um, a Gorillaz interview, or you go and you watch any British artist interview, they'll all talk like this at the interview, right? Then I'll be like, oh, let rock, and then they go into the studio, and it's just, I went down to the rain, or you know, I don't know. That's not a lyric from any song at all, but they
Yeah.
sound so fluently American English. It's ridiculous. So I
Yeah.
decided to be an American artist and go in and
Flip it.
do, and yeah, sing it with a British accent. And it's actually funny because London is my number one city right now. And I
Really
think that's, yeah, I think that's really
interesting.
neat. They're really into it.
Yeah.
I've I've found I've accumulated myself into their culture. I like it.
Mhm. That's cool,
I don't
man.
think accumulated is the word, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
think.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Assimilated.
There we go.
Assimilated. That's it. Okay. I knew I was close.
Yeah, you're good. I
Accumulated.
know I have people I know that are like, if you use like the wrong word, they're like, well, that's not what you said technically. It's like, I know, but
Hmm.
I know what
Ah,
that
see?
person meant. Yeah. So you're good,
Path
man.
of a logical liar. You know, see? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, you just have to say
Roll
the
with it.
right things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Glad you asked about that, actually.
Yeah. So I want to keep picking at that. So like,
Sure.
you're talking about like using like the British accent, right? So like, you look up like "Good Morning Melanie" by you, and like it's really like acoustic and folksy and like chill, and then you put on like "It Just Might," and that's like a whole electronic kind of. So like,
Yeah. What's the
you,
vibe? Is that the question? Yeah, like
like
what
how
is
would
James
you?
Blond?
Yeah, yeah, because of
That's a
that.
great question. I would say it's like experimental British pop music. It's like Block Party meets Bob Dylan. There's a lot of intricate lyricism.
Oh, okay.
Uh, yeah, I think I don't really have necessarily a defined line of what I'm trying to do with it. You know, I'm not on a major record label, so I don't have you know, the constrictive realm of ideas that I can create music in. It's just like I'm doing this independently. I can do whatever the fuck I want, you know.
Hmm.
I can make some weird Satari lo-fi beat, or I could go make you know, it's just whatever. So the vibe that I've really kind of become accustomed to is, I mean, it's very similar to the way that Green Day works. You can play a Green Day track and you can play American Idiot, or you can play Macy's Day Parade, and you know, those are two very different sounds from the same artist. Um,
Mm.
and I think it just might was definitely an experimental electronic song. I like that one a lot, and it's I wanted to make something with a really heavy synthy bass line.
Hmm.
And I had, you know, I spent a lot of years, or not a lot of years, but I've spent a lot of time over the last few years going to electronic music festivals, and I met a lot of beautiful people on the circuit. And I kind of wanted to like make a song they could listen to for all my bass head friends, and
Hmm.
you know, it's kind of neat. It doesn't exactly fit maybe like what I want to do permanently, but I also enjoy DJing and you know, spinning house music and stuff. And so that's one of those things I wanted to incorporate a little bit of love for that. And
Hmm.
I don't think necessarily that I would play that one live with the James Blond performance, but at the same time, you know,
Mm.
I'm not putting myself up to, you know, I'm not saying no to anything. It's just I definitely think the vibe is more like acoustic rock, you know, indie alternative, just, you know, intricate lyricism, nice easy riffs, like simple bass lines, tech tight drums, and you know, just something that you can listen to. Hopefully, I hope people like it. That's really the main goal. I like the music, and if other people like it too, then that works
Mm.
for me. But the genre thing is definitely a hard line to find because I have so many different influences that went into the music. that it just sort of became a thing of its own.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, like that, I think that's like you mentioned, like the fact that you know a lot of instruments and you appreciate a lot of music and you have a lot of inspiration. You're able to kind of blend a lot of different things, and you have full control over it. I can choose what I want this to sound like because I know exactly how to make it sound the way I want. Right.
Yep, and it's a process to learn the intricacies of making a sound like you want to sound. That sounds ridiculous, but all the engineers out there know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're definitely putting in a lot of work, right? And it got to a point where you did get featured. I think it was a 91X in San Diego.
I was on 91X, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I think Tim Pool played me a couple times over the last few months, which is really nice. Really great guy. I've listened to 91X since I first got to San Diego, so it was always a dream that I wanted to be on the radio, and it was really cool to drive down the highway and hear my music. It was crazy, because like I said, it was all just this idea, and then it became so real that other people in the city were enjoying it, and I think that's really neat.
So how did that happen? You just DM him on Instagram like, hey man, here's a track. Like, how did
I reached out to him via email. I went and talked to Greg Caballero, I think that's his last name, over at Cal Records in Ocean Beach. He runs the record store out here, and he gave me a couple contacts to reach out to from the Reader and the Troubadour, 91X, and gave a bunch of contacts. So I reached out to everybody and sent demos, and Tim got back to me and was like, yeah, I dig it. And got it up there. And he played 2 songs. Played Embracing December and Ocean Breeze, which was really cool. I don't think I've ever seen anybody get like 2 tracks or like that besides Queen every day. Always, we are the champions, and then we will rock you. Always. Yeah.
That's dope, man. So like you mentioned, like your dream was to come to like San Diego and get on the radio. So like, where are you from? Are you from Connecticut or?
I have a lot of dreams, yeah, but that was a dream, and I'm really glad it came true. I'm originally from Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay.
Yep. I lived with my dad there until I was 14, and then I moved around a couple states with my mom, and I moved out when I was 19, and I came to California. And it took a couple years before I found myself in Ocean Beach, but I've been in this house almost 4 years, which is it feels amazing.
Wait,
stability hasn't exactly been a forefront in my life, so
yeah,
really cool.
tell me about
it.
Yeah. So you came here when you were 19? So you just like
travel? I came here when I was 19.
Shit, yeah. Man. So what was that like? Becoming an adult in San Diego at 19? Like,
it was wild, man. Yeah, I had a job at Woodward West in Tehachapi, California, which is a summer camp for kids. They do BMX and skateboarding, inline gymnastics, cheerleading, all these really cool action sports. And so I got a job as an on-site instructor, basically a lifeguard for the skate park for the first couple weeks, and then I had a 3-week shift, and then there were 3 weeks left in the camp summer period, and I didn't really have any plan. I knew I wanted to go to San Diego. I didn't even have a GPS at this time. I wrote down handwritten directions to get from this little town in South Dakota all the way to Woodward West in California.
That's a trip. Yeah.
So 3 weeks went by. I talked to the BMX director. His name was Sean Dorton. And I said, hey, Sean, is there any way that I, could stay longer? I'd love to be able to, stay and be able to work with the kids and, spend the rest of the summer here. And I hadn't met anybody from San Diego, and I was still confused. And he said, look, I'm sorry, man, but, we're out of spots, and we've had a great time with you, but I think it's just time that we hit the road. So I told him, hey, listen, if anything opens up at all, please, just keep me in your thoughts. And he called me later that night. He said a guy missed his bus and he wasn't going to be able to make it. So he offered me his job. And that's how I ended up staying there for the next 3 weeks. And my roommates, Ate Milikoski and Willie Monson, were my roommates. Super cool. The first time we ever met, I was smoking some weed on my bed and I passed out, and they parked the car and came up to the room, and Ate walks in. He looks down at me, sees I'm passed out, and he goes back over to Willie. He's like, Willie, our roommate's cool as fuck?
Oh shit.
Yeah. And so then they come
Yeah.
back, and I wake up and I say, hey, you guys want to hit this? And the first thing I ever said to them. And
Oh
they
wow.
told me, yeah, it was amazing. They told me they were from San Diego, and I said, wow, really?
Oh, that
Is it
worked.
cool if is it cool if I follow you guys back when camp's over? And they were like, yeah, sure,
Oh.
dude. And yeah, and then the last day came, and I went, all right, guys, you ready to go? And they went, are you serious? You're just going down there? Yeah, I found
Yeah.
out in hindsight a bunch of like the my
Yeah.
peers at the camp were making fun of me because they're like, yeah, this kid's about to. He says he's moving to San Diego. He's got no plan. He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've like talked to people, years later, and my good friend Todd Bain, who rides for Nitro Circus, he's like, I'm proud of you, man. A lot of people talk shit on like the idea that you had back then, but you really came here and you made that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a trial and ordeals left to right, but I made it this far, and I have a house and got 2 beautiful little animals that I live with, and life seems pretty good. Things
Yeah,
are
that,
things
that
are
worked out
moving
really
along.
well. Yeah.
It's a crazy ride. It's a
Yeah.
crazy ride. Yeah. I mean, to go back and do it again is such a gnarly concept. To move out here with no idea. All I want to do is ride bikes.
Yeah.
And I have $300.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, I didn't think it through one bit. I mean, luckily, I have to give a shout out here too. Taryn Orr was a kid I met at the skate park. He let me crash the night at his house one day, and his mom actually ended up letting me live on the floor in his room for $100 a month. So
At the
yeah,
start,
I got to and I got a job at Subway, and I started saving up my money, and I made a few investments, and then like a few things here, a few things there, and now I got a little house in OB, and it's amazing, man, to look back, and it's beautiful. It's overwhelming a little bit, but I'm very grateful for all the people who helped me out along the way, and couldn't have done it without them. So
yeah,
very grateful.
So if you have a 19-year-old, right, 18-year-old, and they're like, I'm gonna do this, would you let them, or you be like, no, you should plan out a little bit more?
I think it's important. I think if people that age have a desire to get out and see the world, you're only that age once, and you're able to do dumb things. Hopefully not too dumb to where you get in trouble, but I mean, you should try something. You should get out there and live your life. The whole world isn't your town, and if you live in that town forever, you're going to die there eventually. And you'll have lived your whole life without seeing all the beautiful things that this world has to offer, which is a crime against yourself. There's so much. I've met so many amazing people all over the world, and I mean, without just getting out there and doing it, it's not going to happen. So, leave your town at some point, even just to try it. I mean, the Amish do it, right? They have Rumspringa. They go nuts. So if you're not living as hard as the Amish, then you need to figure your life out.
Yeah, that's
cool, what I mean?
Man. Yeah, for sure. I know we're nearing time. I want to ask you one last question. I'm excited to ask it because it's like you had the whole thing with your dad and then the drums, trying to figure all that stuff out, right? And then going to San Diego, and then just figuring like all this stuff has just kind of happened in building the album. So I mean, like through all those different scenarios, right? What's like a common theme you learned from all three? You're like, okay, this is how to approach a situation like this, right? That like helped me, that I could probably pass on to someone else.
It's a great question. I would say that even in the times when everything is pitch black and you feel that you have nothing left, if you just hang in there and reach deep within yourself to know that at the end of the day, you are always enough. It's never going to be somebody else that comes in and saves the day. It's your duty in life to make the most of life for yourself. I think that you're able to overcome pretty much anything, because I've been through some of the worst hardships people can face, and if you let that into your life 100%, it will destroy you. So you have to know that you are worthy and loved and beautiful, and you are able to conquer anything that life throws at you. So never throw in the towel. Just It might seem really hard and almost impossible, but if you hang in there, you can bring anything into your life that you want, including all the benefits and positive things that this life has to offer. And I think that's true for anybody. I don't think it's ever too late. Yeah, life is crazy, and it can be really hard for anybody. You never know what anybody's going through. So at the end of the day, take some time for yourself to just know, that you're okay. I would say practice meditation. Give yourself 10 minutes a day and just breathe. It's an amazing incorporation to your life. Yeah, the common factor between all of them is just the fact that I've made it through. I thought it might be the end. Like that was it, and that wasn't. And I'm here today. My whole life's led up to this moment, and same with you. Same for everybody watching this clip. It's your life to make. You have a choice every day, so you just have to get out there and try your best to make the right choice, to be the best person that you want to be. There's a version of you that you want to be, and there's also a version of you that you don't want to be, and it's about who you let win that battle. Who you let the world see. So yeah, it's constant effort to be the best possible version of yourself. Whatever that means for you.
Yeah, that line gave me chills, low-key. You're like, there's a version that you want to see and the version you don't want to see, and like I've seen versions I don't want to see, and like I let that happen. How that happened, it trips me out. I'm like, oh
yeah, I've been that person too, man. It's not, you look back at pictures or you think about those moments and you go, man, I don't like that. But the fact that you can acknowledge those moments is how you use that to better yourself in the future. So keep your eyes open, and you never know what tomorrow has in store, ever. Seriously, some crazy shit might happen tomorrow and you have no idea. Life's crazy. So just hang in there. It's a wild ride, and go outside. Yeah, if you stay inside all day, it's pretty boring, honestly. I don't recommend that. Leave your town, go outside, live your life. Boom.
For sure, man. I appreciate this interview. This is a cool interview. I do appreciate it.
I appreciate you too. Thank you so much for having me, Chris. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Where can people follow you, find your music, listen to you?
You can check me out on Spotify or iTunes, James Blond USA. And that's the same as my social media handles for Instagram and Facebook. Just James Blond. No E on the blonde. So JamesBlond USA. And my real name is Sebastian. A lot of my friends call me Seabass. Thank you very much for having me. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, please check out the music if you'd like. I'd love for anybody new to be able to listen to it. Send me a DM too. Reach out. Say hi.
For sure, man. All right, man. I'll let you go, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right. That sounds good. Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Peace, brother.